I'm so happy to be at Abu Dhabi's International Book Fair, especially Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's Knowledge Foundation, to discuss this super important topic, which is how to use AI to innovate ethically, safely, and responsibly. So I'll just give a brief presentation, almost 15 minutes. So maybe let's start. So at the moment, AI is actually quite everywhere. Every day when we want to read the news, we must see something related to AI. And sometimes it's in a quite positive light. Like AI would be the answer to climate change, or AI will give us the cure to cancer. But other times it's not that fun, and it could get a bit dark. Like AI is a doomsday risk. AI will take over our jobs. It will take over our world. So there are a lot of points of views. And to be honest, no one knows what will happen in the next 10 years in this field. But what I know is that we need to be very vigilant, and we need to set up safeguards and rules in order to use this technology safely and ethically. So as we see around us, AI is actually influencing a lot of fields. For example, in aviation, AI is being used as a co-pilot that never sleeps, that moderates different travel indicators. In the field of academia, AI is used as a personal tutor. Now, all college students are using ChatGPT, for example. And let's say in the music industry, AI is used as a composer or as a DJ, creating customized music. So AI is everywhere, and this is just scratching the surface on its capabilities. And I've probably said the word AI more than 20 times in the last 5 minutes, so let's rewind a bit. So what exactly is this artificial intelligence that everyone's talking about? Actually, AI involves using computers to do tasks that are usually human tasks that require human intelligence. So we as humans, we perceive our environment, we understand patterns, we understand language, we're capable of translation. So all of what I just mentioned is actually now subfields of AI, like natural language processing, text generation, text summarization, image generation. So it's a huge and broad field that has all of these sections now. And it's actually quite interesting and quite exciting. But how does AI actually do this? Like, what's the basis? So AI basically feeds on data, lots and lots and lots and lots of data. So an AI model gets trained on a large data set in order to understand different patterns, generate insights, do predictions, and hence do actions accordingly. And when I say data, what do I mean? I mean anything that can be digitized. If it's sound waves, if it's text, if it's numbers, if it's images, everything that you can put on a computer can be used to train an AI model. And that's huge. And when we think about this, we think, oh, but what about data privacy? And what kind of data is this AI model actually trained on? And if we come to think about it, the impact AI has on society based on the data that it gets trained on is actually huge. One thing I always like to say is AI doesn't exist in vacuum. Everything or every time we use AI to train, or every time we use AI for a specific product, it affects our life, it affects society as well. So that is why I want to highlight the point on data. So imagine an image generator, which is an AI model that generates images. Have you ever thought what type of data it's trained on? It's probably trained on art, lots of art, like Mona Lisa, Starry Night, different art images. And have you ever thought, like, if this AI developer training these models used the consent of Van Gogh, let's say, to use his paintings to train? I don't think so. It also may be trained on our pictures, like my LinkedIn profile pic or yours. So the issue is data privacy is very, very fragile here. And here where I would also like to advocate for something that's called the open AI paradigm, which means like people who are working on AI make AI accessible for everyone. And that means the concept of open data. So sharing the data AI models are trained on, sharing the algorithms, sharing the set of rules or regulations they use to develop these models for AI not to be like this black box that we do not actually know what it outputted and how. So there's actually a very cool tool on this topic, which is called Have I Been Trained? It's a tool that's, I think, produced by a company called Spawning AI, where you could actually search your name and check if your image pops up. And if it did, that means like an AI model somewhere used your images to be trained. So this is quite interesting. And a lot of artists are actually using this to see if some AI model is trained on their material without their consent. So this is an example of how AI models should be in terms of openness. And all of this talk on data privacy also raises the question of bias, of ethics, of fairness. And what does that even mean? So I know that at the moment, all the discussions around AI are basically related to bias. And I also know that we as human beings are biased individuals, hence the data we produce is also biased. But I also believe that if we emphasize the topic more often and we emphasize trained on data that is representative of the whole society is crucial, or without that, we shouldn't develop AI. So what does bias actually look like? Once I wanted to play around with an image generator and thought to see what does a professor at a university looks like in the eyes of AI. And as you see here, unfortunately, it's all white men, no women in sight, no different ethnicities. So this is an example of bias. Because, for example, this model didn't use enough data that represented the whole population to train, hence it gave this type of output. Or like if I want to search for a colored photograph of a housekeeper, they're all women of similar ethnicities. Also an example of bias. And there's a lot much more. But like all of this discussion also on bias, on data protection, on data privacy, lets us think that we definitely need kind of like a set of rules or regulations that govern the way we use AI, not just use, the way we develop. So I wanted to lightly touch upon the UN's ethical AI principles, which have recently been published. They're very interesting, and I think if everyone who wants to implement this technology abides by them, we'd probably be safe for now. So the first rule is do no harm, which means that whenever you want to implement an AI model, it shouldn't be to harm people or attack them. The second is define purpose, necessity, and proportionality. So when we want to create AI models, we need to create them. It's not just we're doing it just for the sake of doing it or because it's trendy. They need to have a purpose because the process of creating them is also very consuming to resources, which is something we need to keep in mind if we want sustainability. And then we have fairness and non-discrimination. The same thing that I just mentioned now. AI models should be fair, should be representative of the whole population. This way we make sure that everyone would have access to this technology fairly. And we have sustainability. So like another example, if I want to train a model, I can't just say I want to use 3,000 GPUs to train this model because I want 100% accuracy. This is illogical, and hence it wouldn't be sustainable for the future. So this is a main law when producing these models. And then we have right to privacy, data protection, and data governance, which is very crucial, which means personal data should be respected at all costs, and data privacy rules should also be the first in mind when we want to develop these models. And if specific, let's say, as I mentioned previously, artwork or personal data should be used to train models, it should be consensual and it should be respected. Then we have human autonomy and oversight, which basically means that we can't just develop AI and just leave it, let it be, and produce insights without us analyzing the output. We need to follow a paradigm that's called human feedback in the loop AI, which basically means that whenever AI models produce something, we need to check, we need to make sure that this data is right, not just let it be, produce results. And then we have transparency and explainability. Again, like we shouldn't think of it as a black box. Everything that goes inside the AI model should be explainable to us. So it should be transparent. We should know why this specific result got outputted based on the data it was fed. And we have responsibility and accountability. What does that mean? That means that we always should do impact assessments. We should do a lot of auditing when we do AI models. We should make sure that all is up for standard. And last but not least, inclusion and participation, and not just in terms of data, but even when we want to develop these models, we need to make sure that there's different perspectives coming in, different factions of society weighing their opinions on this AI development. And I actually want to touch light on the concept of sustainability and governance because I think it's extremely important. So AI models don't just exist on a real cloud. The clouds they sit on are made of a lot of junk, a lot of plastic, a lot of metal, and a whole bunch of other things that actually produce CO2 emissions. So a really interesting study by Kaggle showed that training a GPT-3 model actually emits 502 tons of CO2 emissions. And if you want to compare it to, let's say, a human life over the average of 1 year, it's actually 5.5 tons, which is insane. And if you want to compare it to air travel, we take traveling from NYC to San Francisco. So to the environment, it produces a lot of emissions. Hence, that's why it should be fit for purpose. We should have the necessity, or like we should see the demand in order to develop these AI models. And because of that, and because of the implications that AI models could have, we have recently seen a huge rise in laws related to AI. As you can see, in 2016, it was almost nil. But now in 2022, it's quite a lot, exponential surge. And one of the key examples, for example, here in the UAE, we have the AI ethics principles and guidelines, which are a great guide when developing these models. We have the blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights by the US, and we have the EU's AI Act, which was quite famous in the past couple of months. So why now, and why is there a lot of countries having this in mind, and why are they producing a lot of laws? Because as time passes, we see how AI is ingrained into a lot of different parts of our society, and hence we need these laws to govern it. And similar to what the UNSG said, that we need an AI watchdog that actually watches the work that people develop on AI, similar to what the IAEA does on nuclear energy. And this just emphasizes more and more the importance of this topic. So I'll give you a very small snapshot on AI governance principles. So these are principles that countries put in order how to use AI. And they could range from a variety of topics, like, for example, accountability, trustworthiness, responsibility, privacy, safety and security, fairness, bias and detection, and finally, explainability and transparency. And I won't go into details because we already touched a bit upon them on the ethics part. But this is just to give you like a snapshot on how would a governance principle set look like. So in a more positive light, and just thinking positively about this technology, not just scaring people from it, it has actually helped a lot in the realm of sustainable development. So I'm just going to mention some super interesting projects UNDP is doing across different countries. So on SDG 1, no poverty, Philippines actually created a very interesting AI tool that maps poverty indicators based on satellite imagery and based how much specific regions have electricity, which is super cool. And on Zero Hunger, India is using AI for pest monitoring. So they monitor pests through these AI tools or drones, I think, across different crops, and that would cause an increase in crop yields. On good health and well-being, Egypt has actually created an AI chatbot for hearing impaired people that help them pursue with their daily lives. On responsible consumption and production, Ecuador did an AI tool that actually tracks cocoa production. So they actually now have like a traceability in the chocolate bar industry, which is very impressive. And on peace, justice, and strong institutions, Brazil are actually using AI in court systems to automate the generation of different reports that would help lawyers and judges do their work more efficiently. And finally, just to finalize it, at UNDP and the Regional Bureau of Arab States, I'm actually leading some cool work on AI for sustainable development, which basically is a platform that would allow different people, researchers, academics from the Arab region to have access on different AI models, tools, data across 4 key areas, which are water sustainability, agriculture, social cohesion, which is an open tool that's the main purpose is to make AI accessible for everyone. And on this initiative, we actually partnered with His Excellency's office, His Excellency, the Minister of AI. And we have our knowledge partner, Mohammed bin Zayed, University of AI, supporting as well, to have AI for everyone, leaving no one behind. Thank you so much. That was there.